It's been another good day for uranium. The price of uranium in the spot market is up. We're going to talk about uranium stocks, the overall market, what stocks in uranium that I'm looking at, what I've bought, what I've sold. I'm going to give you an update on where I am in this round of the uranium market. Things have changed drastically, and I don't think a lot of people have heard what I'm doing, and I'm still very bullish uranium. In fact, I'm going to go into detail on a bunch of things in this video. Hit that like and subscribe button below if you want me to make more of these. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust today did not buy any pounds. So they can buy 1.8 million pounds. I'll show you that real quick and I'll come back to this. Sprott is now 55.6 million pounds of U3O8 and they've got over $90 million and they raised a couple million today. So they are at a discount right now. But I think that they're going to be making a very big purchase very soon. And you can see down here that they really haven't bought any pounds hardly in the last couple months. And when they buy, like I said in the last video, a very big, large amount in the spot market, it tends to run. Every time we've seen these big spikes, uranium stocks ran. The price of uranium ran up as well. Thing is, the price of uranium, $51, is like $7, $8 more than it was when they started this run down here, when the war started. So this is very positive. It means other, investors, processors, producers, and, they're in the spot market as well. Traders, big funds. So it is very positive. I think Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, they will buy a large amount very soon. I want to show you how well uranium stocks are still doing in the last 2+ years. And this was around March 2020, the infamous time when the market dropped and uranium stocks really bottomed out. Energy Fuels was under $1 here. And you can see this is UEC. It's doing very well. And I honestly think stocks like UEC, Energy Fuels, they probably will hit new all-time highs very soon in the next year and a half, 2 years. I think that we're in a new enrichment renaissance in the US. So these stocks really didn't get to perform as much as they should have in the last uranium bull market. Cameco's already seen a 52-week high in this last couple months. So did UEC. And Energy Fuels wasn't able to hit that. Now I want to show you, this is still great. We're seeing a lot of these stocks from their bottoms. UEC up here, 1,500% almost when it hit its peak, but we're still up 800%. I want to show you some stocks. Facebook, how about that? Company Meta now. It's got as low as 137 during March of 2020. And what's crazy is this stock has dropped so much. Netflix. So we're going to look at Netflix. Look at this crazy drop just in the last, since, basically last year, November of last year, we've seen a massive drop. Now, uranium stocks, this is what they look like compared to, these are big stocks. These were stocks that people were like, there's no way, they'll drop 75%, and people were betting on this, and it's very sad. It's very sad, well, obviously what happened. Same thing with Facebook, 50+% drop, not too long ago. These were these big stocks that, people were betting for a long time, and people called my stocks dumpster stocks. These stocks right here, these 4 stocks, plus all the other uranium stocks over here, they call them dumpster stocks. And this is still how they look, very, very strong. A lot of uranium stocks, they really trade together. The price of uranium stocks are leverage plays on the price of uranium. So a lot of these stocks that are producers, in uranium, they trade somewhat together, but you can see we're still in a very positive territory, even though we've seen a very big drop in the last month and a half. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about what I'm doing in this new round of uranium, the renaissance in the United States. That's really changed the game for everything. A lot of people haven't seen my videos. They know I'm bullish on uranium, and they were really, flabbergasted. Some people were, didn't understand why I sold a lot of my uranium stocks. Now, I'm going to come back to a lot of stuff here, but I first want to show you, this was March or April of 2020. Now, I was very bullish uranium. I bought 40+ uranium stocks, and some of these stocks, Paladin, were a couple cents when I bought them. And this was in April, and they were already doing crazy runs, runs up. UEC was 58 cents. Energy Fuels was $1.16 on this particular day. I bought it under $1. Now, here's the thing. When I bought this under $1 and it goes to $10, it's 1,000% run. And then when we hit $10 back in, 6-7 weeks ago, and then it drops 50%, 55%, that if you held it, and if I had held it from that time, that's over 500% drop. And if it was $100,000 under $1, and then it's $1 million at $10, and then it loses half of it, that's $550,000. It literally could, selling at that peak, which I got very lucky in a lot of my newer positions in the last year and a half. Some of them were 2 years, but those particular stocks, you could check my Discord. I got very lucky with my back hurting, and I was, I've been already trading. I've been heavy 55, 60% cash, and I built up a 60+% cushion from profits from day trading and swing trading. I literally every single day was trading something from February, March into the early part, the very beginning of April, the first week and a half, 2 weeks. Then I hurt my back, and I saw the overall market really starting to look ugly. I started to reevaluate my long-term thesis and my short-term thesis. The day in swing trading, I had done really well. And my long position, those were already starting to drop. Now, some of the stocks that I had been in, they did perform very well, from March 2020. And I sold out of a lot of those. Uranium exit strategy. So long-term investor, I'm going to go over this real quick. Short-term and day trader. I'm going to go for all three real quick. And these are some rules I adopted and made up a lot of them for myself. And it's kept me pretty profitable, able to trade this for a living. Now, in YouTube stock, a lot of people on the YouTube channels with stocks, they'll just pump out hundreds of videos a month. And they'll talk about every single stock. And these stocks, some of them will go up, some of them will, go to zero. And I didn't want my channel to really be like that. Yet some of these stock channels, they've just started trading in the last couple of years. Yet these guys, some of them are making literally $600,000 in the last 6 months. Meet Kevin, Jeremy Financial Education, just his YouTube ad revenue. I didn't want to be where I just talk about random stocks that are bad. That's why I've covered uranium so much. And I get some hate from people that are mad that I sold. I sold a lot of stuff early on, into 2021, 2022, early, this year. I was very heavy cash. Like I said, 70+%, and then establishing that cushion. And then April, I was like, okay, I'm done with a lot of these. Some of these uranium stocks, say like Deep Yellow. I had bought Deep Yellow early on. You can see here, I'm going to go over these in a minute, but I had bought Deep Yellow early on, and we're going to also go over Deep Yellow with their merger in this video as well. And it was, 17 cents. Okay. I think it was actually less than that. This is what it was on this day. But Deep Yellow, I had a fair amount, a good sized position, but I had averaged up last year, into last year, especially with this takeover happening with Vimy. I believed it really was going to happen. And I, averaged up somewhat. I was able to exit that stock with profit. And although I really do like the management, I like where it's going. Like I said, the overall, there is risks. So the uranium long-term investor, there's risks, natural disasters. We had Fukushima type issues February and March. Okay, a lot of weird black swans because of the war. What was happening during the war when it started. We're not really going to see oversupply issues, permit and jurisdiction. We had some somewhat speculation in the Athabasca Basin issues, but right now those things are, fine. But when you're a long-term investor, a lot of times you're, the hold on for dear life rule is what a lot of these people do. A lot of the uranium investors, that's what they do. That's fine with them. If they bought in March, some of them saw a 500% drop. And that's big. I mean, that compounding effect, when you get to 1,000% and then it goes even more, just a small move in the stock, it can really take away gains. You hold it over a year in the US, obviously you pay less taxes. But if you make a certain amount of money, you're going to end up paying a lot of taxes anyways. But the highest compounding happens from this. Okay. You also have more free time somewhat. You don't look at your portfolio as much. And it's going to have the big compounding gains. But why I really started to switch, and I've started to establish more long-term positions, especially after a 50% drop. So the swing trader, and then we'll go to day trader, and then I'll talk about deep yellow and where I'm going with overall stocks right now and uranium. So uranium swing trader, high returns, less time. There's medium risk. You can really kind of swing the uranium market a lot easier with the way the volatility's been going. You can get a really big deal like we've seen, 55% in some of these uranium stocks dropping in less than a month. Swing trading, you don't necessarily have to marry this stock for years, but you look at technicals, you look at how a lot of these have been oversold. There is a little bit more volume, especially when we see those big sell-offs, where you can get in a pretty good position because a lot of people are selling off. So, especially stocks like UEC, Energy Fuels, they're not OTC stocks, so there is liquidity. But trying to time the market's very tough. Choppy markets, and obviously there's higher tax, on those. And those are things that I weighed in and why I've been doing a lot of swing and day trading. And, getting rid of a lot of my uranium stocks, almost all of them, in April, the almost beginning of April, I got very lucky, okay? Now, I did see a lot of this coming. I was already 55, 60% cash, and then I built up that 62% cushion of cash adding, so I was way more cash than that. But then selling a lot of my uranium stocks in the very beginning, got lucky, and then hitting hard, day trading, swing trading, I hurt my back and then got strep throat. So I was not trading in the last 5-6 weeks from the very beginning of April, but I have been in the last couple weeks. So I've been doing really well. Getting back into it off this drop. We've already seen a lot of uranium stocks go, like I showed in the last video, go up 30+% in the last few weeks. So day trading, these are the fastest returns, especially if you're going big. It is high risk and there's going to be crazy volatility. One of the things is the rewards. You're not really married to these stocks, okay? You're not married to them. I might trade a stock that in uranium that I might not like the management as much, and they might be growing on me. And it's really because of what the technicals or what the overall market's doing or how well that stock trades. It's getting crazy amounts of volume. I trade, what's being traded. And a lot of times I like to invest in what's hated. I'm going to establish, and I have been establishing new long-term positions, and getting a 50% discount. It's great. With day trading, I got to be plugged into the market. That's why I haven't been making a lot of these videos. When I'm day trading Monday through Friday, I make my money that way. Meet Kevin. Those guys make videos daily. There are people in uranium make multiple videos daily, 5-6 videos. That's okay with them. They're trying to make their money via that. I make my money via trading. Some days I've made $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in stocks. I have had over $100,000 days in trading stocks, swing trading stocks. So this is where I make my money. I have had big losses before. I've had $10,000 losses before as well. So it is a risk. It's a very big risk, but that's where I'm making my money. I do love making these videos, and I will continue to make more uranium videos, especially as I think this next hit is going to be over $70+ for uranium. It's going to be very positive. And I'm going to be going over this tier list for uranium stocks in the next video. I'm going to update you on stocks that I think long-term I'm going to be looking to buy. And that's going to be in the next video. Might be actually the same day this video is released, so look out for it. But that's the uranium day trader. Now I'm going to go back to some of the rules, why I trade a stock. So I like to have a strategy and stick to it if it works. So my day trading and swing trading was working very well. 62%, my overall portfolio, I grew when the overall market was down 20+%. Okay, so it was working. Changes the uranium bull market, begins a new round. We entered a new round with the war, with the overall market dropping. Everything that I put in my old videos about uranium, a lot of that has changed. Okay, you got to be updated in this market. You got to update everything. And not only inflation changed a lot of things for these explorers, management never followed through in a lot of these companies. You see it all over social media. Management, did not follow through, so people are leaving the stock. I've left a lot of stocks where the management didn't follow through. They raised too much money, and you know, it's unfortunate with uranium. You know, when a small uranium company is exploring, they got to find uranium. And then once they find it, they got to figure out how to get it out of the ground, okay, economically. So I like to, like I said, trade what's being traded, invest in what's hated, ignore the noise. There's a lot of people out there that criticize day or swing trading stocks, especially in uranium. People are like, oh, I thought you were holding. It's like, guys, if the market changes and I say like the stock, I like, you know, Energy Fuels or UEC or, you know, Deep Yellow. If I like these stocks, I like the management. It doesn't mean that I can't sell it or take profits. Okay. I got to protect profits and cut losses. The only reason I've been trading since 2006 and I actually have done really well is because I protect my profits. A lot of times people, especially in the Discord, they're like, whoa, you know, you sold early, right? And I was like, yeah, you know, I almost every time I sell, the stock still goes up, you know, especially on a day or swing trade. I like to be out early. Now, stocks have, this is another thing, stocks have sense memory, okay? Not every stock is going to trade the exact same on the same amount of volume. Even if they're in the same, you know, sector like uranium. Some stocks have a lot of good long-term investors. They believe in the company and it's going to help the stock. But we saw stocks like, you know, Denison last year lead the market in volume almost. And the stock, you know, failed to break, you know, $2 and it's back down. And we'll go over that in the other video, why that's probably happening. I like to keep winners and get rid of losers. That's another reason in September, I got rid of a lot of stocks last year in uranium that were, in my opinion, losers. They didn't move as fast as the others, or management was way too quiet. You know, just because they got the numbers, the pounds, and all this other bullish stuff doesn't mean I'm going to hold it. I'm not going to get, you know, I'm not going to keep a loser. And I'm not afraid to be down on the stock. This is a big thing. With uranium, yeah, I've been down a lot in positions. And like I've said, I've been up a lot. Like, I'm not going to be afraid to be in a stock, okay? If I'm investing in a uranium stock, then there's a very good chance that long-term, I believe that stock's going to be up a lot more, okay? Another thing, I never margin a stock that I don't have money for. I never marry a stock or sector, but I keep the door open. I might revisit a stock. You know, there's a lot of management, you know, stocks in uranium that have management that have done better in the past year that I actually like now. If management's not invested, neither should my money. Usually, it doesn't always necessarily mean that, but, you know, especially if it's a speculative stock, the management should have a lot of, you know, shares in the company as well, a lot of skin in the game. I'll sometimes have lowball bids and moon sell orders in place to play the volatility. And that also happens. A lot of those, you know, stocks, they hit 52-week highs in, you know, September. And I was like, you know what? I know how the market works. Long term, these are going to be up. I believe it. But right now, you know, I'm going to get rid of the stock, and it worked out. Remove emotions. Think of an investment as part ownership of a company. Yeah, when I'm long-term investing in a uranium company, it's like I'm going out there and mining with them. That's the way I see it. And I don't expect to have my money back in a day. I expect if it's a long-term investment, it's hard to get in a big position. I'm probably going to be down. I expect it to be down. They're using my money to get things going, right? So like I said, remove investment or remove emotions. Move funds to ideas and sectors and stocks that are working and will be needed soon. Obviously, uranium. Some stocks trade differently than others and react to volume in different ways. Kind of touched on that earlier. We've definitely seen that in uranium. A lot of uranium stocks, you know, trade a lot differently than others. And invest in management teams that you would want to start a business with, and those that have done it before. You know, that's something like Deep Yellow. That was something that, you know, Deep Yellow and stocks like that have really good management, and they're about to have a big management. I'm going to go over in a minute with that, with their merger next in July. Trust yourself and perform an MRI on a stock. Call the management or investor relations, or read the annual reports, see insider filings, and zoom out, you know, on the big picture of the stock. So the uranium stocks are still down a good amount, but if we look over at commodities right now, uranium's right up there with natural gas leading for the day, like I said. And for the year, uranium did really well, but we had that big pullback. Okay, I really think this is the next leg up for uranium, and we saw, you know, oil. We saw crude hit 120. I think inflation numbers we're going to see Friday. I think they're going to be actually up. It's very possible. And that's going to be something to watch. It is nice to see a lot of these break 100, 200%. So Deep Yellow is a developer, and they're going to be doing this merger with Vimy, like I've been touching on. Right now with Deep Yellow, I don't have a position right now. I will look at starting another position, and it's nice that it's lower. But once this specifically closes, next month, we're going to compare Deep Yellow to Paladin real quick. I've updated the sheet. So if we look at this, Paladin, John Borshoff, CEO, he was the founder of Paladin. He's the CEO of Deep Yellow. He has 13 million shares, which is about 3.5%. He had about 14 million there, 3.5. Exact same. He's looking to do this again, another crazy run. There's over 8,000 shareholders, 186 over 100,000. And Paladin had only 4,000, 173 over 100,000 back then. The free float, about 30%, 69% of them locked up with the top 20 shareholders. That's big. Open pit mine, both of them are the same. Now they've got Australia. Namibia was what Paladin had 2005, right? They got now Australia with this merger and Namibia. We also see that they were a developer to producer. They were explorer back then to a producer. They're looking to project about 3 million pounds a year. They had 2.6, they're stage 1, and they didn't even hit that. They hit like a quarter million, not even a quarter million the first year, 2007, at the peak of uranium prices. So obviously they already did the merger for Vimy. Could there be other mergers in the future? Very possible. So it looks to close, in July. The problem with Paladin, they started trying to do mergers way late. They had issues with Summit, billions of dollars, just issues, debt. It was way too late. Contracting opened for them. They still have open contracting so they can get these high prices. Pre-March of 2020, $40 uranium, they started contracting. Not very good, but it's still this stock price from Explorer, a couple $1 million market cap, it went up 104,000%. We're not going to see that Deep Yellow as of right now, but it's still going to be very good. So debt ratio 0.016 to equity. It was about 0.6 in 2005, September. ETF, Sprott, market, we have all those things. They didn't have that back then. Interest rate risk, there's less risk, I think, somewhat. Things are changing, but back then they definitely had some issues, going with the housing market and a bunch of issues. So share price, it's like 54 cents right now. It's not pulling it right now. It was $1.50 back then. Market cap, 375 million merged with Vimy. That's what it'll be merged today with Vimy. A little bit less than that because it's down like a cent from when I updated this earlier. And the market cap then was 978 million. Okay. And when they hit their peak, it was 4.5 billion. So we still have 1,200% upside for Deep Yellow to get there. I think Deep Yellow is going to be at the peak market. So we could see more. We could see a 3,000% upside. Very possible. Their pounds of resources at their main project, Tumis, 182 million. It was only 105 million there at Langer Heinrich. 20-year mine life plus. It was 17 there. Cash on hand, 106 million. It was 40 million during this time. 2025 production start. It was 2006 then. It's pretty late start. Late in the cycle in a sense. They already got a lot of contracting too cheap. The PPM 600 plus, about the same. Ownership of the mine, 100% pretty much. Their shares, they'll have about 733 million when they're merged. Obviously, Australian Stock Exchange listed stocks, they have higher floats all the time. It's about 434 million at that time. Total resources, 389 million, about what Paladin had then, 413 million. So this is very positive. They are in this orphan period breaking out. Deep Yellow is. So they're ending it, right? And that's when you see these big stock runs. And from this point, a 10x would be phenomenal. They're going to, obviously become like a Paladin, in my opinion, especially if they get these things going. Management, skin in the game. These are how Deep Yellow can grow. I've already said that. He has skin in the game. They could buy some spot pounds with that cash. Probably not. They need to get those things going. They could do more mergers. Obviously, acquisitions. These are things these 100 baggers have always had. They've done great acquisitions. Vimy is a great one, I think. Managing debt. No summit issues this time. That's the goal. And we're also looking at no dividend. Hopefully that's going to be good for it. Stock buybacks, possibly minimize taxes. Namibia, that's good. Decentralized organizations, multi-jurisdiction, Namibia and Australia. I think that's great as well. Cash flow, contracting at the peak. That's going to be great. Getting into production, Tumis in less than 36 months. More M&As. They have exploration upside. This is going to be a good stock. I'm not establishing a position just yet. We'll see how things go. I would like them to close the merger. But that's something I think that's very positive. And we'll probably see the stock do pretty well. You know, we saw, like I said, the pullback on that. You look at the stock chart here. It's still doing very well, okay? DPLO is doing very well. Down here, 7-cent low back then. And, you know, like I said, 50-something cents. Right now, 54 cents. And, you know, we saw a high of $1.01. You know, I got, like I said, I got pretty lucky getting out of here still with a profit. But I'll look to establish possibly another position. Still, I mean, that looks good, doesn't it? From this crazy drop. Still going to look to establish new long-term positions. I won't get into exactly what in this video. I'll talk more about that probably in the uranium video that's going to be a tier sheet in my uranium stock sheet in the tier list. And you'll see that. But we'll jump back to that. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff in that. But there's a little bit of other market news. We already kind of talked about Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. We'll keep an eye on them. But the Financial Times reported, and so did Bloomberg, I have them both here, the SEC is weighing on sending retail stock orders to auctions for execution. So pretty hard to understand kind of what's going on. But this really could change up what the market, you know, we saw in the last 2 years, record amount of people coming in the market. We saw issues with, you know, Citadel, and we saw GameStop and AMC, all the manipulation that a lot of veteran stock traders, retail stock traders knew about. We talked about it all the time. It says the SEC to press major wholesale brokerage to win auctions for orders by mom and pop investors would be a major change for the stock market. While nothing has been announced, the changes among those being considered by staff at Wall Street's main regulator. So the specifics of the SEC's plan, which are still taking shape, follow a months-long review of regulation. Exactly 1 year ago, SEC Chair Gensler said he'd asked the agency's staff to examine best execution requirements. So whenever I day trade a stock, like I hope to get filled like that, right? A lot of times you get horrible orders depending on your broker. And sometimes, you know, they're depending what's going on with the market maker, you can see some weird manipulation on lower volume stocks. And it always really kind of made me mad a lot of times not being able to get out of a position at a good price. You know, short sellers coming in, manipulating the stock. It's really somewhat confusing because there's so many loopholes on the, you know, order flow for stocks. You know, you've got the dark pools, and really all of this is put out there to really confuse, obviously, retail investors. It's lawyer speak. My hopes are this would help retail investors get better orders filled. Probably not going to happen. We'll see. So I'm going to be looking at uranium stocks still in the next, you know, month or so to establish new long-term positions, maybe sooner, but I'm still day trading and swing trading the overall stock market. I'm going to go more into detail on my plans, why I've done this when I talk about the stocks in the next video. I am excited to establish some new long-term positions in some stocks that, you know, management I like better now. They've got new projects, and, you know, getting rid of a lot of the old baggage. You know, a lot of stocks that I believed in, they still did well. My money probably would have been better elsewhere. I learned a lot from that. You might notice I don't have behind me my sword. When uranium hits $75 to 100, I'll bring the sword back. Obviously, the sword, I'm not a crazy person. It was there for entertainment. It's there for fun. When I do long live streams, start doing this more, it's going to be fun to have that. And if you guys want access to Discord, that is where I am 24/7. That's where I post my trades. I will answer any questions people have. When people ask me all these questions in the last month and a half, 2 months, like, where have you gone? where have, why did you sell, or are you all cash? Like, a lot of people like to make jokes about that. I update everyone in my Discord with that. If you guys like the 2+ years that I've been covering uranium and you guys are sticking around, if you like this video, hit the like and subscribe button below.